Da Vinci's robotic contraptions. For a brief moment of his life, Leonardo da Vinci worked as a chief military engineer for the Italian army and worked at designing new and innovative weapons of war to assist with the influence of his country and the political gain of those closest to him. This led to a wide variety of new and interesting designs created by the inventor to help with war efforts whenever necessary. Many of these designs include helicopter-like aerodynamic machines capable of flight, large trebuchets, catapults, and engineered ways to get over large stone walls without sacrificing any men, as well as a variety of ancient tank designs powered by horses or protected gears. These all pale in comparison to Leonardo da Vinci's greatest hidden invention, the Robotic Knight. After Leonardo da Vinci was put in charge of a pageant in Milan by the Duke at the time, he felt compelled to design an interesting machine that could replicate the movements of a man completely independently. This led to the design of a suit of armor filled with mechanical gears and wheels connected to an internal pulley and cable system that could do a variety of functions on its own. Back in 2002, Mark Rosheim discovered several of these Robotic Knight notes and used the designs to recreate the robot in the modern day. Not only did he find that the robot was completely balanced, but that it was capable of independent motion such as walking, waving, sitting down, standing up, and moving its head and lifting its visor. These designs would later be stolen and used by NASA in developing their own cutting-edge robotics in the future. The Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is seen as one of the single most greatest discoveries that has resonated with changes all around the world to uncover the secrets that many at the time had believed would never be understood. Discovered in 1799, the Rosetta Stone proved to be the missing key required to decipher the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, as well as the mysteries of the ancient Egyptian civilization as a whole. The stone itself had 3 separate written languages inscribed upon it that was believed to have been created back in 196 BC, and told the story of the deeds that had been accomplished by the pharaoh at that time that was believed to have been written by the high priests of Egypt. The top and middle texts were ancient Egyptian written in both the hieroglyphic script and the Demotic script, while the bottom text was a translated paragraph of the top 2 decrees written in the ancient Greek language. Using these translations as the basis for the language, experts began translating decades of hieroglyphic scriptures discovered all around ancient Egypt that before this point could not be understood. Not only did this lead to an explosion of knowledge in the Egyptologist community, but helped to shed incredible light into one of the oldest civilizations on the planet. Many experts believe that without this incredible discovery, we would still be no closer to translating the ancient Egyptian language even in the modern day. Not only did this help us to preserve the information crafted so many centuries ago, but allowed us to piece together a much clearer picture of the origins of civilization. Egyptian dagger from space. Throughout Egyptian mythologies and legends, there are numerous records that detail the Egyptian gods providing many gifts to humanity and to the then reigning pharaohs of Egypt. Many of these gifts ranged from animals, such as the domesticated cat, to weapons and daggers made out of special materials. Oddly enough, evidence of this was found when archaeologists began to notice that iron weapons could be found in tombs that predated the Iron Age by over 200 years. This became a mystery as the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun was also found to be surrounded by a large collection of iron weapons, including a specially crafted iron dagger dating to be generations before the beginning of the Iron Age. The ancient aliens community speculated that perhaps these iron weapons were the gifts referenced in ancient Egyptian myths that were crafted by the gods, and that perhaps they were forged from materials found in space. Oddly enough, this turned out to be true. In an effort to better understand the creation of these strange weapons, archaeologists and Egyptologists sent in samples of the weapons to undergo further testing to find out any additional information surrounding the weapons. The test results found that not only were these daggers filled with a variety of different minerals impossible to craft, but that the composition of the materials matched those found in meteorites and not found on the planet Earth. This has left many experts scratching their heads as to how this could have occurred, and even more members of the ancient aliens community gathering the evidence of extraterrestrial visitation in the past. The Dropper Stones. Discovered in 1962 by a man named Chu Wenming, the Dropper Stones were described as being a series of 716 circular stone discs that were dated as far back as 12,000 years ago, predating the first human civilizations. The stones were inscribed with tiny hieroglyphic-like images that detailed a strange story of possible extraterrestrial origin. This story was supposedly translated to state that a strange species of beings had descended from a cloud in the sky. After realizing they were unable to ascend back up to the skies, they were then forced to begin to adapt and live on the planet. The story then detailed that, unaware of the nature, these strange beings and their intentions, the local Han Chinese began to hunt them down and kill them. According to the researcher Chu Wenming, the images seem similar to that of modern-day UFO sightings and flying saucers. Believing these stones to be evidence of the record of ancient extraterrestrial contact, in 1962, Chu Wenming published his findings to the archaeological community only for it to be ridiculed and discredited and caused Chu Wenming to go to Japan in a self-induced exile of shame. Further information surrounding the stones were described in the Soviet magazine known as Sputnik that claimed a handful of these stones were sent from a museum to Moscow. Supposedly, a doctor by the name of Vyacheslav Syzev describes an experiment in which the discs were placed on special turntables where they began to vibrate or hum in an unusual repeating rhythm, as if an electrical current passed through them. Since these experiments and findings, the stones have gone missing only for them to have never surfaced again. This could very well mean that not only were the stones legitimate in their details and evidence of ancient extraterrestrial contact, but that the efforts were made by the Chinese and Russian government to cover up these strange artifacts and prevent them from ever being seen again. Many people in the ancient alien community speculate that perhaps these discs could have contained a massive amount of digital data and could be the smoking gun evidence of ancient extraterrestrial contact. The Great Attractor Black Hole. Although impossible to know for certain as to what is causing this strange disturbance, it is believed that a black hole the size of which has never before been theorized exists at the center of one of the largest gravitational wells to exist in our local galactic supercluster. Although many might be well aware of the large supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy responsible for the movement of the entire spiral-shaped galaxy of ours, many are completely unaware of what is known as the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor refers to an unknown space anomaly discovered to be at the center of the local Laniakea supercluster. Unfortunately, scientists can't explain or get better information regarding the Great Attractor, as it appears to be in the zone of avoidance, of which means that the majority of the space there is completely obscured by the energy created by the Milky Way galaxy. Gravitational measurements, however, show that the Great Attractor is not only pulling our own galaxy towards it, but all of the nearby galactic superclusters in our area. Although many scientific reports believed the majority of surrounding space to be moving away from us at increasing speeds, many believe that this might be tied to the gravitational force of the Great Attractor pulling the majority of the galaxies around us into its overwhelmingly and impossible to understand gravitational well. This has caused scientists and computer simulation estimates to believe that the Great Attractor is that of a supermassive black hole that dwarfs the singularity at the center of our galaxy by thousands of light years in distance. Information surrounding this theory is incredibly limited, however, by the zone of avoidance, and it looks like scientists
won't be able to truly give scientific insight as to the cause until the human race learns the ability to travel outside of the Milky Way galaxy to gather further information. This ultimately means that despite this natural phenomenon being the most influential event on our local galactic supercluster, humans may never learn the true nature as to its cause for the foreseeable future, and can only guess the size via gathered information of surrounding celestial bodies.